Magical treats taste great, but justice and equality taste better. To combat hate, all ad revenue from my HB Kitchen will be donated to trans and LGBTQ charities. Thank you for supporting the kitchen and helping make the world a better place. Mischief managed.
Hello witches, wizards, and those who are yet to receive their Hogwarts school letters. Welcome back to my Harry Potter Kitchen, the YouTube series where I'm making my way through the Harry Potter books, creating magical recipes for each and every item of food and drink that we find inside. If you missed last week's recipe where we conjured up some tooth flossing string mints made from spun sugar, then make sure to check out the link down below in the description to catch up. And if you're new to the kitchen and you want to see more, make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and then click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there's a brand new recipe. Speaking of which, there is something new for us to tuck into, so fire up those cauldrons because we're about to bake some magic.
This week's recipe can also be found in Chapter 10 of the Prisoner of Azkaban, The Marauder's Map, where we see, and get another box of jelly slugs, dear. Sorry Ron, slugs are back.
Jelly slugs are back on the menu, and last year during the Chamber of Secrets I created some blackberry jelly slugs in an edible green slime. This year, however, I wanted to do something slightly different, making them even fruitier and in a variety of flavours. So you know what that means, it's time for another Hogwarts House-inspired food battle. Let me know who you're rooting for.
Creating your Hogwarts House jelly slugs is incredibly easy. The first thing you need to do is create your fruit syrups for your jelly base. I'm starting with Hufflepuff by adding my oranges and sugar into a pan and cooking until soft. Add in your water and then bring it to the boil. As soon as you start to see bubbles forming, take it off the heat as we don't want too much of the liquid to evaporate. Repeat the process with your kiwis for Slytherin, cooking with sugar until soft and then adding in your water. I'm also going to do the same with raspberries for Gryffindor and then blueberries for Ravenclaw. To get the smoothest slugs we can, I'm then going to blend each of these in a food processor. This will give you a better consistency, but also ensure that we get as much flavour out of the fresh fruit as possible. Finally, you want to press each flavour through a sieve to remove any of the skins or seeds. Once the syrups are ready, bloom your gelatin leaves by adding into cold water for 5 minutes. Once they're nice and soft, you can squeeze them to remove any excess water. Reheat the syrups and then add gelatin leaves into each one, stirring through until completely dissolved. Leave your jellies out for 30 minutes to an hour until they reach room temperature and begin to thicken.
Now, a few of you mentioned that you tried the recipe from the Chamber of Secrets, but some of your jelly slugs didn't hold their shape. So I want to give you a few tips when it comes to half setting your jelly. This is a really important step because it thickens it up and makes sure that when it goes into the mold, it doesn't dissolve too much of the sugar around it. So when you leave it at room temperature, it should get nice and thick. If it's not thick enough, you might need to add more gelatin, but pop it into the fridge for 30 minutes just to speed that up. And if it's still thin, melt down some of your gelatin and then add that in before moving on to the next step.
To make our molds, I'm first going to create a slug model using some fondant. Roll out into a sausage and then you can shape it into your desired slug shape. I've made them a little larger this time and also added in a bit of a wiggle. To create your sugar molds, pour your sugar into a shallow baking tray and then use a weighted dish to compact it in as much as possible. This step also helps prevent the jelly from leaking. Once you're happy, flatten the surface to get it as even as possible. Press the fondant slug into the sugar to create your indentations. Make sure you space them out evenly to avoid the next slug ruining your previous mold. Stir your jellies to loosen them up a little bit and then use a pipette to ease the jelly mixture into your molds. Remember, it doesn't have to go all the way to the top unless you like a really thick slug. Keep on working until all of your flavours are in. Place these into the fridge and then let them set for at least 2 hours. Last year I made edible slime from a homemade green lemon curd, and although it tasted incredible, I didn't want to use it in this year's recipe as I really want to let each of our Hogwarts house colours shine. So instead, I'm going to show you how to make a really quick, really easy clear ragu for your jelly slugs. For the slime I'm using apricot jam, which I thin down with some water. Stir through until nice and smooth. Once the jellies are all set, you can then ease them out of the sugar. Remember, you don't have to throw the sugar away, it is perfect to use in jams, or you can dry it out to use in other recipes. Dip the jelly slugs into the apricot slime, and then add them onto your board. For a final touch, I like to use a little more apricot jam to make the slime trails, and then spread some more on top. And with that, it's time to eat slugs. So I guess Ron won't be the only one with slugs in his mouth, and if you want to join him, make sure you give this recipe a try and let me know what you think. That is all for this week's video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. It really helps new witches and wizards find our recipes. Then hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there's a brand new recipe. I'm off to eat slugs, so I'll see you next time.